Welcome to the Climb Pathways presentation, Preparing a Strong Oral Presentation. As you begin to compose your presentation, consider what you want your takeaway messages to be. What do you want to achieve? Thinking about the audience for your presentation will help you determine your goals. For example, a lab meeting presentation would be given to your faculty advisor, postdocs, and other graduate students in the lab in an informal setting. In contrast, a presentation given at a conference would be given to experts in the field and be quite formal. Content, style, and presentation dynamics will change based on the audience. So understand your audience and have specific goals in mind when you begin to plan your presentation. You'll be establishing the story of what you want your presentation to tell. Great stories, just like great scientific investigations, begin with a great question. Use the first slides of your presentation to establish the important questions of who cares, why bother. This part of your plan can be called Act 1. Act 1 defines the importance of your research topic and introduces your hypothesis. In Act 2, you will explore your question. Tell the audience which experimental techniques were used to test your hypothesis. During Act 3, you will share the answers to your question. What type of data did you collect, and what were your scientific findings? The story-based format can really help you plan a 60-minute talk. In Act 1, you'd use about 5 to 7 minutes for a short introduction, giving the audience just enough background information to understand the logic behind your question and the hypothesis. Devote 3 to 5 minutes to explain the methods you will use to answer your questions. Spend about 40 to 45 minutes on the answers to your question or your results. Take 5 minutes for Act 3 to recap your findings and what avenues you plan to explore in the future. The remaining 5 or 10 minutes can be used to answer audience questions. This plan will help you emphasize your results and conclusions. Results and conclusions are your take-home messages. It may be helpful to anticipate some questions and create additional slides at the end of your presentation in order to answer those questions. The slides you create for your presentation are important, and there are good practices to follow as you prepare them. Minimize text. You don't want your audience to start reading and stop listening. Use bullet points and visuals to replace full sentences. Incorporate as many pictures, graphs, tables, and charts into your presentation as possible. Use fonts that are crisp and clear. Use large fonts, over 16 points, to make your text easy to read. Use a contrasting color scheme. Avoid red font. Keep the same format style throughout your entire presentation. The last thing you want is for your audience to become distracted during your presentation. If you need to incorporate an image from a publication into your presentation, go to the online version of the publication and determine if presentation quality figures are available for download. If they are, use this version of the image for your presentation. If they are not, open the PDF version of the publication in Adobe Acrobat Reader and use the snapshot function to copy only the desired figure and crop out the text. Paste this copied image into your presentation. If you have to use a table from a publication, you will likely have to recreate it, so avoid using tables from publications if you can. Helpful software for creating tables and figures include Excel, GraphPad, and Origin for plotting, and ImageJ and Photoshop for image editing. All tables in your presentation should be able to stand alone. This means the audience should be able to identify the purpose of the table without any additional information. A well-prepared table should have a table legend at the top, which briefly describes the information in the table. Column titles, which identify the variables of the experiment. The data that was collected in the table body, and footnotes for any further clarification, such as information regarding statistical analysis. Figures should also stand alone. Place a creative title at the top. The axis should be clearly labeled with tick marks that are scaled to fit the data. A figure legend should be used to identify the variables of the experiment and the samples tested. Number tables and figures separately. Every figure or table should serve a well-defined purpose and be critical to the overall story of your presentation. Once all your slides are complete, practice. Rehearse your talk multiple times in order to gain command of the information and decrease nervousness. Rehearse alone and again with your lab group. If you have the opportunity, rehearse your presentation in the same place that you will be delivering your talk. Be sure to time yourself. As you practice, remember to speak loudly and clearly and don't rush. Express your enthusiasm for your research and stay focused on your topic. This will help you avoid going off on tangents and confusing your audience. Spend time with each data slide, beginning with a brief introduction of what experiments you performed and why. Plan transitions from one slide to the next to tell the story of your research progression. What you say should be a summary that correlates with what is in your slide, and not a complete dictation of your slide. Avoid saying and ah. Avoid fidgeting, nervous laughter, and pacing. And avoid turning your back on the audience. Stay engaged with them. When it is time for questions, remember, repeat each question so that everyone knows what you are answering. If you are unclear about what was asked, it's okay to ask for clarification. Respond to the question as accurately as you can and be willing to admit when you don't know the answer. When all is said and done, remain open to constructive criticism about your presentations. Ask for honest feedback so you can improve. Developing your oral communication skills will sharpen your scientific skills, so look for more opportunities to give presentations.